Hello, and a very warm welcome to a brand new series of Centrum Guardians. This is about the people in our emergency services. Firefighters, paramedics, rescue swimmers, pilots and crew. They seldom catch the limelight, but when the unthinkable happens, when you're trapped in a car after an accident, or being swept out to sea in a rip current, they are the ones who will make the difference between life and death.
It's instinct that just kicks in, it really is.
Jy weet iemand is in die moeilikheid en dit gaan 10 minute vat om daar te kom.
Inside the building, it's dark. Smoke, you cannot see.
You can't just leave the life just because you don't want to get hurt.
You've got literally a few minutes to play with, if even that.
When I stepped in that water, I was scared, but I don't know how to swim. I have to save that person.
Dink die satisfaksie wat 'n ou kry uit die werk uit om ander mense te kan help en daar's nie 'n ander werk wat dit regverdig nie.
We are looking for the Centrum Guardian of the Year 2013. There are 8 finalists. Over the next 6 weeks, we will tell you their stories, and I can promise you now, it will take your breath away. But only one of them can be crowned Centrum Guardian of the Year 2013. Half the votes to decide that winner will come from an independent panel. The other half must come from you. Help us recognize the amazing work these guys do by voting for the team or individual who inspires you to live life at 100%. I've been involved with this project for 4 years now, and one of the most inspiring elements of that experience has been the young people that we've met. It sure gives me hope for the future to know that passionate new recruits are entering our emergency services. You may remember some of them.
I like what I'm doing. I feel very proud of myself. I've always wanted to be a fireman. Whenever we see fire, I see challenge. It's your heart start pounding, and you know that here is something you gotta do.
25-year-old Shimi Sifatsa was a trainee firefighter. He was off duty when a fire broke out in a block of flats. Corner Edward and Smuts was ablaze. Short of manpower, the firefighters were scrambling to get the inferno under control.
People were standing in the windows, balconies, trying to jump down.
They were like, hey, there's an old man there, trapped in the building.
Without waiting for orders, Shimi made his move.
I didn't think straight that time. I just thought of going there, getting that old man out of that building.
Regional Commander Jacob Mloyan Gubeni accepted Shimi's impulse to act on his own.
It was a good but very risky initiative that he took.
Single-handed, thinking only of saving a life, Shimi entered the blazing flats.
It was dark, and I could see the old man there. He was like already seeing death already there. Shame.
Shimi got the old man out safely. Then, without a moment's pause, he responded to another call for help. A woman in the neighboring flat was trapped.
Just think of my mom telling me, you can do it, son, you can do it, you can do it.
His singular act was her only chance at survival.
She gave me a huge hug after it.
Actually, he assigned himself to rescuing those people, and you could not stop him.
Another young firefighter we featured was Thuli Nkosi.
I put myself in danger, but my heart tells me that I want to be a lifesaver.
Thuli is a diminutive young woman who proved that it's the size of your heart, not your boots, that matters.
He just swept straight towards me and drove away down the hill.
The driver of the vehicle had lost control and swerved violently over a steep embankment.
I blacked out, and the next conscious thought I felt being tossed to the left and to the right. And I thought, what's happening?
When I got there, I saw the car was already inside the water. It was upside down.
Tuli was faced with a frightening dilemma.
Can I make it? How?
She had no backup, and worse, she cannot swim.
The first thing that crossed my mind is this how people drown.
While Joe Uys desperately struggled to free himself, Tuli made a split-second decision.
Within a second, I saw that hand goes up inside the water.
With no swimming skills, Tuli waded into the water.
He needs help. He's still alive.
What crossed my mind was I said goodbye to my wife that morning, and my sons were still sleeping, so I didn't say goodbye. And the next thing I felt, somebody grabbed my hand from the back of me.
When I got there and put my hand like that, and then he grabbed me.
When I felt the arm, I knew here's the lifeline, and I'm going to grab onto it.
And then the first question he asked when he grabbed me, what happened? Where am I?
How would somebody feel that the one moment thinks it's the end of his life, the next minute a lifeline gets thrown to you?
Tuli calmly instructed Joe to release his safety belt and hauled him out of the back window of the sinking vehicle. In that moment, she found a strength beyond her small frame.
I felt somebody that was much bigger than me grabbing me and pulling me out. I believe with all my heart that she was a sent angel.
I couldn't think it's me who made this thing.
Neither size nor age makes the difference. Last year, we met Carrie Glover, who at 15 is the youngest finalist we have ever featured. It was Carrie Glover's first day on the job as a newly qualified lifesaver.
It was a serious day. It was a ticking time bomb.
It was the height of the festive season. The beach was packed with holidaymakers.
Yeah, I was quite nervous because he was giving me like a little crash course on what I was like meant to expect on this kind of day, because obviously it was my first proper duty day.
As they watched the crowd from the tower, they noticed a group of swimmers very close to a rip.
They got caught in the wash, washing them to the side, and then out into a rip current. And I ran in. I grabbed the torpedo buoy. So I swam out and arrived at the two victims that I thought looked most in distress.
The panicked victims grabbed at Duncan.
He was basically being drowned by these people because he only had one or two torpedo buoys, and he couldn't carry all four of them. So they were drowning him as he was trying to save them.
In that moment, Carrie had to make a critical decision. Should she go in or should she call for help?
So she made that critical decision and came in.
Carrie approached the desperate group and persuaded an overwrought woman to let go of her colleague.
I had a torpedo buoy and I let her hold onto my torpedo buoy, and then I basically swam her in.
She knew what to do. She signaled. It's one hand waving above your arm. She signaled assistance required, blew her whistle until the guys training eventually saw this.
The team quickly swam out and helped Duncan bring the group in safely.
The initiative that she showed, it's not common in 15-year-olds. She most certainly saved more than one life that day, and mine could have definitely been one of those.
If you've saved a person's life, it's so nice to know that you've actually helped. Yeah, I do feel very cool to have done it.
The Centrum Guardian project has been running for 6 years, going from strength to strength. For the first 2 years, it was a smaller campaign in the print media only. Since its inception, the project has featured 41 amazing teams and individuals. 6 of those have been honored with the title Centrum Guardian of the Year. In 2008, 2 people shared the honors. Firefighter Themba Chumezi saved a family with a 6-month-old baby from a burning shop. And rescue swimmer Andre Fletcher pulled a crew off a yacht in trouble. In 2009, the crown went to firefighter Mlungi Silele Triko, who had to deal with casualties from a 16-seater taxi accident. In 2010, the title went to a team from the Western Cape.
You have to do things, you have to do it very quickly. That victim is the only thing going through your mind.
You just go out there and rescue people. It's our life. We're born with it.
There's always somebody that loves someone. And if you can give back a loved one to someone, then you feel that you've done something.
Sean Hewitt, Dion Alberts, Edna Brown.
Yeah, I'm a bit overwhelmed at the moment.
It feels good to take it to the Western Cape.
In 2011, the title went to a veteran firefighter.
Ek sit met mense daarbo. So jy moet nou planne maak om vir hulle veilig te kry, want jy moet vanaand met daai mense huis toe gaan.
On the 20th of October 2010, a controlled fire break on a pine plantation just outside George ran amok.
I never saw a fire move that fast.
A strong wind was powering the flames, and firefighters in the mountains were unaware of the advancing danger. Surrounded by towering flames, Dion knew that his crew were in serious trouble.
You couldn't breathe. Every time like we inhale, felt like a lung was on fire. I remember thinking that it's actually sometimes easier to die than to live.
In that moment, Dion was out searching for his threatened crew.
Toe ek hom sien, toe weet ek, dis soos nuwe krag wat ek kry. Want as hy okay is, weet ek die ander behoort okay te wees.
Dion immediately created a safe area around the crew with a perfectly planned backburn.
Everywhere around us was burning, and just that piece where we were didn't burn.
He then headed directly into the inferno to save the rest of the crew.
There was just smoke everywhere.
He found them marooned in their vehicle in a circle of fire.
As ons hier, ons safar by ons gehad het, weet ons wat sou gebeur.
Dion made a race for the last cut-off vehicle. He took the wheel and led the trapped firefighters through the blaze.
Jy kan niks sien nie, so jy moet werk op geloof. So geloof is wat jou uitlei.
Dion led every last crew member to safety that day.
When he sees we're right, he will like have a little tear in his eyes.
Dis 'n passie en ek dink is 'n groot uitdaging. Ek dink jy's baie geseën as jy 'n lewe kan sê jy het 'n lewe gered.
Well, follow me to hell. It's like there's nothing we won't do for you, man.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, as voted by the public, the winner of the title Centrum Guardian of the Year 2012 is Thorsten Henschel. The 15th of January was a beautiful summer's day, great for going to the beach. A group of schoolboys were enjoying every moment when suddenly one of them was in trouble.
It was a stunning day. It was really a very beautiful day, and that's why we went to the beach with all the boys. I was standing on the beach and playing with the other kids that weren't in the water, and I had a constant watch or close watch to the guys that were in the water. And they were honestly really in between the flags, as they call it. All of a sudden, I saw that Ruan was not amongst the original group.
En ek het probeer uitswem en ek voel iets trek my, soos wat die see jou trek.
As I looked, all of a sudden he was swept off his feet and he was swimming. And I mean, and I couldn't understand that, because how can you swim when the water is just above your knees? Not knowing that he was in this current, obviously.
Ruan Klopper found himself helpless in the powerful current.
Probably 30 seconds, 45 seconds later, Ruan was at least 30, 40 meters further away into the sea. And that's when we started panicking.
At 11 minutes past 11, Farnes Low phoned the NSRI.
Ek het onmiddellik in sy stem gehoor, hy's baie bekommerd en hy het vir my gesê die see is diep, die see is baie groot en het gesê ons moet baie vinnig maak.
What went through my mind, and again I remember that so clearly, is how many people are in the water, how far out are they?
High time pressure, because when somebody's already got a phone call to say that they're in trouble, you know, time is of the essence.
The second time I phoned Henny, he said to me, they'll be there in 10 minutes. I said to him, Henny, 10 minutes is too long. We don't have 10 minutes.
By this time, Ruan was 300 meters out to sea.
het gedink aan hoe ek gaan uitkom. Dis al waaraan ek gedink het.
Torsten arrived ahead of the others and took in the scene.
It was obvious that it was a child. He was right in the rip current. It didn't look nice at all.
Torsten planned to use the current to his advantage.
Rip current will take me there much quicker than if I take a straight line.
And then I saw Torsten running about 50 meters towards my left, and I thought, hey, where are you going? I mean, you know, Ruan is there, he's not there.
Torsten battled huge breakers before the current swept him towards Ruan.
Another wave got on top of him, but just as it hit him, I managed to grab hold of him.
Hy het my gepraat, hy het my gevra wat is my naam.
He said his name was Ruan. And the moment you've got a name and a person that's right in front of you, and especially a child, there's no ways you're going to let him go.
Torsten began to swim Ruan back through the breakers when the rescue crew arrived with the boat.
That's when I heard it. It was like music to my ears. It was that unmistakable sound of an outboard at full rev. Picked up Ruan and sped away with him.
Without Torsten's skillful intervention, Ruan would not have made it that day.
I was thinking when I was walking up, there's a room full of people here who do exactly what we did that day. And, you know, I remember when I first read the stories, when they were published, I thought to myself, how can one rank them? You know, they're all amazing stories.
They really are amazing. These people who, as they put it themselves, run in when everyone else runs out. Make a date with us for the next 6 weeks to meet this year's 8 finalists and hear some of the most exciting, true stories you will ever come across from our own backyard. Bus 422 was en route to Meyerton on the morning of the 25th of June. For some reason, it didn't stop at the stop streets. Instead, it carried on going and into the water below. A fire and rescue team from Meyerton Station was immediately dispatched.
Then I saw the bus lying on its side in the ditch.
As they approached, they were faced with the worst.
It's a smell of death. And I looked inside the bus, and that's when I saw a lot of people. The first priority was to get more hands on the scene.
The call went out to all available resources in the area.
Just heard one of the crews from the ambulance screaming on the radio, Citibank call center, please send all Citibank ambulances.
Next moment, everyone's phone started ringing.
Whether on duty or off, rescue workers responded to the call.
Not a question of are you on duty or off duty. You go to help the people.
When we arrive at the scene, it's like we are shutting down as human beings.
All members of the team fell into step.
Suddenly your training takes over. You know exactly what you have to do. Get the basket stretcher down there and start getting the patients out.
One by one, the people was coming out, and then he said 60 people still trapped inside the bus.
They hauled victim after victim in grueling conditions.
It was very cold that morning. The bus was lying in a stream of water and mud. You had to work knee-deep in that mud, very cold.
Obviously the bus is difficult to get all that people out of the bus through only a small window, only a back.
So we had to carry the heavy Jaws of Life extrication equipment of ours in that mud.
We started to open the bus on the side.
With the Jaws of Life, the team gained better access to the victims.
There were people trying to grab onto the side of the bus, but they were stuck by the foot or the arm.
You need to move an arm, you need to move a body part, you need to move a leg.
Surviving patients were near hysteria.
And on one stage, one of the patients, a lady, grabbed my arm and she's asking, please help me. But we can't take her out because there's between 10 and 20 people that's lying like this.
The team worked systematically to free the terrified victims one by one, like pieces of a tragic puzzle.
It was touching your heart because you know there's people in there and these guys are trying their best to get those people out as fast as possible.
Just trying to concentrate on the one that you are saving at that moment.
No one was panicking. Everyone knew exactly what they had to do. Everyone followed orders.
The team worked in the bitter cold for 6 hours to free every victim from the bus.
We helped as many people as we could and we did our job the right way we could. That was just relief.
6 hours in that water, I was proud of them.
It was an incredible journey to get to this point, with the photo shoots, the documentaries being shot, a spectacular media launch, a lot of activity by the different Guardians and their communication representatives and their communities. We presented 8 finalists to the public. The viewers and the public have voted. The independent panel has voted. The panel members were drawn from different sectors in media and marketing. They met behind closed doors this week to carefully assess each rescue and put forward their ideas of who should take the title.
Judging something like this is difficult because reward for doing this kind of work should go to everybody.
Skeptics at heart, they were soon drawn into the human drama and pathos of the rescue scenarios.
I watched the first episode and I wanted to cry, so I've had to be quite careful about watching the others because I keep wanting to cry. The drama and the absolute emotional intensity, it's incredible. It's really lovely, deeply moving human stories.
The judges were struck by the willingness of each rescue team to do whatever it takes.
They deserve a medal from the state president. That's how I feel. And to choose a winner is totally unfair.
Seeing the extremes to which these teams have gone to save sometimes a single life is remarkable.
We have an incredible country with incredible individuals who are willing and able to put themselves on the line when the time comes.
I'm not too sure I could do what they do, and I take my hat off to them.
It was very difficult to make a decision because they were all amazing and every story had a different angle. You thought, oh wow, that's wonderful, or I can't believe they did that, or I cannot believe how they risk themselves in each and every story.
Probably aren't doing this work for the glory and you aren't doing it for the money. You're doing it for the passion because you really and truly want to help people.
It's a stranger risking their life to save another stranger's life. What could be more human and inspiring than that? It gives me a bit of more hope and trust in the human race.
It's humanity. That's what it boils down to. It's non-racial, it's non-sexist. It's purely respect for another human being.
Each panel member was asked to score the teams individually, 8 points to their favorite, 7 to the next, and so on. Finally, one team came out on top.
I wish that everybody could be a winner, although ultimately they are, but it was very hard choosing one out of all of them.
The auditor has verified it. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the winner. The Centrum Guardian of the Year 2013 is Focus. A fitting final word for this year's Centrum Guardian project. Thank you for sharing the journey. Saturday, the 13th of October last year was not a day to be out at sea. There was a gale force wind creating swells of 3 to 4 meters. When rescue divers were called out to a capsized boat off Hout Bay, they knew this was going to take all they had.
The vessel has capsized off Takers Clip at Hout Bay, 50 people aboard and 6 missing at that stage. I immediately thought that it was a big problem. In the first place, for us to get there, because it will take us some time to activate everybody.
All local rescue divers were called in.
We immediately responded with our diving gear and our boats, and we speedily left the base for the Hout Bay area.
Because this was my first real life rescue in diving. So you know it's no longer training, it's a real thing. So you have to prepare yourself mentally and physically for what's about to happen.
Divers en route prepared for the worst. Meanwhile, local NSRI on the scene were able to pluck survivors from the sea. They were rushed back to base and treated for shock and hypothermia. They were the lucky ones. 6 people were still unaccounted for.
As a police diver, you're not really trained to rescue people. We are trained to retrieve bodies, to look for evidence underwater.
We weren't sure if we're going to do body recoveries or is it a rescue attempt.
I saw the other divers' faces. It dawned on me that this is serious, this is something else.
Then, NSRI volunteers reported a faint tapping from underneath the upturned boat.
When they said no people is still in the hole and they are still alive, things changed.
Now there were lives to be saved.
There were 2 NSRI volunteers sitting on the one side of the hull. They confirmed that there were people inside. That was all that we had to go on.
There's no more time for fear, there's no more time for hesitation because there's people's lives depending on you.
The upturned boat was caught in a current and being swept further out to sea.
The currents were terrible. It was like a washing machine under there. This thing is upside down, in water, it's difficult, it's dark.
And with the seabed about 50 meters below, it was dangerously deep.
The adrenaline is pumping, you know, all I was thinking was, you know, this boat might just go down.
They were in a lot of danger. If that boat sank that moment, if you're underneath the boat, you don't know if it's sinking, you will go down with the boat, and then it will be a whole different mission to get them out there.
The air supply in their tanks would not have lasted at those depths.
We physically had to hold onto the railings and pull ourselves and look for the entrance to the cabin. I then went in. There was lots of debris inside, life jackets, ropes, cameras, bags. I had a basic idea of where they were because of where the NSRI volunteers were sitting. And that is where I found the open hatch. I instinctively just went in there. I got as far as my shoulders because of all my diving gear. Once the boat pitched up, there was a little bit of light that came through. And that's when I saw the 2 sets of legs in this little compartment.
3 survivors trapped in an unlikely air pocket underneath the upturned boat.
All I could see was legs from the knee down to the feet. And I pulled on that. And the person actually pulled the legs out. So I had to make the decision, try and get this person out of that air pocket. So I took my spare demand valve, the little breathing apparatus, and I stuck it into the air pocket and I pushed on it so that they could hear there was air coming out. To my surprise, this person actually took it. Had the demand valve in the mouth and she was breathing quite nicely, so I was quite happy.
Fabian watched the gauge on his air tank slowly drop. He knew he was running out of time.
I don't have much air left, we need to get out. And I started pulling on the person.
On the surface, police divers arrived on the scene. They waited for reports from the metro divers below.
And then, what felt like hours and hours, they came out with the first survivor.
She was still so fearful that she wouldn't let go. I had to call the NSRI guys to pry her off me.
The terrified woman was eventually coaxed into the rescue boat.
I was happy. I was extremely happy to get us to the top, and it's the first time that we've ever rescued a live victim from a dive operation.
When the first patient out, it was a relief, but at that same moment, we also realized there's 2 more other patients inside.
Police divers were briefed on the location of the 2 remaining victims.
At that stage, the weather changed a lot and the conditions were really deteriorating.
And a normal police diving operation would not take place in that circumstances.
At that stage, I just asked all the police divers if they are prepared to dive I cannot force them to go dive, and we just decided, right, we're all okay to go. Dive that we couldn't plan for, and I could foresee that somebody might actually get hurt.
I heard Captain PJ screaming to us, guys, it's 51 meters deep. If this thing goes down, get out. Because there was no way on that depth and with the activity we were going to do that we would reach the surface if we go down with that boat.
2 divers prepared to go into the hull, with the others on standby as backup.
First thing I can remember when I hit the water is the intense cold.
It was so disorientating because the roof was now at our feet and the floor at our heads. I forced myself into this gap, and then I saw feet, white feet in the water.
He communicated the find to his diving buddy.
And I indicated to them that, I see 2 people in the hole there. And he indicated to me, okay, it's fine, and he went to have a look.
I managed to get myself in there, but it's almost like you're stuck here to the shoulders. I got my head, broke through the surface of the water. And immediately there was people screaming, which caught me off guard because I didn't expect that. Without thinking, I took off my mask to speak to them, and immediately that fumes. My eyes was like burning, and I couldn't really focus. I realized I must do something about the air there, and I purged it, basically just pressing the button so that fresh air flows in there.
The terrified victims refused to budge.
I just froze, and I was just thinking, how are we going to get these people out?
Minutes ticked by with no word from below.
I couldn't get in. I couldn't get my equipment or my DV actually to them.
Eben needed the 2 to follow him out.
Remember, I asked them, does anybody knows how to dive or have dived before? And they both said no. So I had to reassure them, listen, I'm going out now. Just stay calm, I'll be back just now.
They were screaming at me, please don't leave us, please don't leave us.
But they had to go to bring back help.
They came up and then said, listen, we've got a problem here. We all 4 must go underneath the vessel.
The plan was to equip the women and swim them out.
But it was easier said than done.
The women were tangled in ropes and unable to remove their life jackets.
I guided her feet down the hole, and I was gently pulling her down. And everything went to plan more or less.
And then everything stopped.
Paralyzed by fear, the women refused to move any further.
I started panicking. This is it. We're not going to get them out.
Now you're waiting. Now you must know that this is 10 minutes that is going past. And you don't know if something happens. This is the task that I'm here for. I'm the rescue swimmer. I'm the one that must help our guys if they get into trouble.
Under the hull, Eben made a critical decision.
I realized time was running out, so I decided there and then to take off my scuba gear.
Eben handed over his air supply and quickly surfaced.
When I hit the surface, for some other reason, I just got sick there.
I knew there was something going on, and I mean the fact that he didn't have his rig on, because that's one of the last things that you leave.
And he said, listen here guys, the fumes caught me, I'm tired, I'm a liability now. I said, Captain, I don't know if I can do this. And he said, you will do this, and you can do this.
Me and Uda and Nella did go back alone.
It's going to turn out one of 2 ways. We're going to get these people out, no problem, or we're going to die.
The women were still frozen in terror.
And listen, time. Our time is running out now.
So, to pull someone underwater with a life jacket, that was one of the big problems.
And every time we want to do it, then she grabs. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to.
With not 1 second to spare, Gert forced the woman out.
I just grabbed her by the side, going down and out.
They immediately handed her over to the waiting NSRI medics.
Without basically saying a word, we just went down again.
The second one was like 2 or 3 seconds. It was so easy.
I just squeezed the hand, she squeezed my hand back, and I pulled in the water, passed over to the other guys, and we swam out.
I saw Gert coming through the railings with the lady in his arms, and I could see he was finning, but he wasn't coming up.
Douglas took the survivor from his exhausted colleague.
And the first thing that she said to me there was, "Don't leave me. I'm going to die, don't leave me." And I said to her, "Nobody's dying today, I've got you."
The survivors were in safe hands. The divers had reached their physical limits.
I just couldn't swim. The boat was so close, there was no way I could get to the boat.
I threw a rope to them and pulled them one by one towards the boat, took their rig and got them on board.
Like there was an absolute silence on the vessel. Everybody was on a high, but there was that eerie silence amongst everybody. Everybody was just sitting and staring, and I think they were like replaying the ordeal. I think that's what I was doing.
They know what to do, and nothing will stand in their way when there's a life at stake. Newcastle in KwaZulu-Natal is an industrial town. Where there's industry, there are occupational hazards. But sometimes something happens which no one could have expected.
On that day, there was a pipe leak. It was just a tiny hole. So then I phoned my supervisor so that they can isolate the line from the plant. I had a big bang at the back of me.
Pulled by a fierce vacuum force, a colleague simply disappeared into the pipe.
Thomas was swallowed by that pipe. And I started panicking, and then I was so confused. Then I phoned again my supervisor. I told them that what has happened now.
We was called on a cell phone telling us that there was an accident.
Startling news. A man sucked deep into the pipe.
Never heard of something like that. On my way there, I phoned the fire department. You know, you didn't know what to expect.
He didn't respond to their calls. There was no way of knowing whether he was dead or alive.
We received a call from Gerard Ghost telling us that they were busy working on a water pipe and the guy was sucked into the water pipe.
We rushed into our fire kit and into the rescue vehicle. We went out. We only knew that we had to rush there.
On the scene, faint sounds from the depths of the pipe.
Then I heard the voice of Thomas calling my name. He was calling my name, Hezron, Hezron, where am I, where are you? Then my supervisor arrived.
They assured the man that help was on the way.
And I said, no, relax, don't panic, we're trying to rescue you.
The rescue team sped towards a scene unlike any they had ever encountered before.
Just to see the rescue truck arriving there was like a lot of our shoulders already, because we weren't capable of rescuing her on our own.
The scene was chaotic and tension was palpable.
They said, I want somebody there, we have to rescue somebody.
They had no guidelines or rule books for how to approach this rescue.
Because how to rescue, we know we got our tool like it was Jaws of life. We know we'll help.
Tools of the trade would be no use to them in the dark, narrow pipe.
Hello. That one was different, totally different.
And all the guys were standing around the pipe.
You don't know how far he is.
They were all shocked. And they said they've never seen that happening before.
When you shut down the water, it creates a vacuum in the pipe. And when the pipe bursts, it just sucked the guy completely into the pipe.
A freak accident that could cost a man his life.
Now feeling that, hey, we must help that is somebody.
The burly men could not access the 61-centimeter pipe.
Look at Sonelli, and I said to her, that's it, this is yours.
It was quiet for a while. Thereafter, I volunteered to go in there. That man was calling for help, and the firefighters are here to save lives.
The plan was for Zanele to strip her bulky fire suit, rope up, and go into the tunnel after the trapped man.
At Newcastle, we haven't got the equipment to do that confined space rescue. So we must work with the equipment we got with us.
Right. I was nervous, I can't lie. The only thing that gave me strength is that particular somebody was still alive.
Zanele inched her way through the opening.
Thomas? But then when I got there, it wasn't the same as I was outside.
I don't think I can go inside the pipe at that long distance. Yeah. Because even inside it's dark.
Right, what? Right. At first, I was not scared because I knew I had my fire crew that I can rely on.
We are here. The ropes are tied to it. If something happens, we can just pull out. Caleb spoke to a lot.
Pipe is made up of fiberglass, so it was burning on my knees. Thomas? You could hear that his voice was coming closer and closer.
It's scary. It's very scary. She's crawling millimeter by millimeter.
At first, they thought he could be no more than 20 meters in.
Thomas, I had a torch on, and on halfway, the battery died. Then I had to save it, switched it off, then I went on.
She crawled deeper and deeper into the darkness.
I was really scared. I was thinking the water was gonna come up and push us out.
Frightened to go further, Zanele stopped in the darkness.
They could feel that I was still. I did say, hey, I'm coming back now. They said, no, Zanele, please don't.
Encouraged by her colleagues, she tunneled further into the pipe.
They kept me going.
I don't think she hesitated. As we spoke to her, she just carried on.
She was now more than 50 meters into the fiberglass tunnel. There was no going back.
Take our longest rope, we thought, it's short now.
Let's not say the rope is finished because the lady will come back. She will come back.
They used the winch to extend her lifeline. Zanele was unaware of the possible danger.
And she was just crawling. And the further she gone up, the more scary I got.
Yes, I'm right, okay. Go.
It's not like as we expect that it might be 10 meters away from us.
Close on 100 meters in, the length of a rugby field, Zanele finally found the man.
So at least we are relieved that now she can see Thomas.
Thomas? Then I saw that he was badly hurt. He was still shocked, but he was trying his best to talk to me. He told me how happy he was that I came to save him. Then he asked me, where am I from? I told him that I'm from the fire and rescue team in Newcastle.
Zanele hooked him up to the rope.
I had to put it on the roof of the pipe so that I could get it around him.
She gave the waiting crew a sign to pull.
After every 10, 12 meters, there's a joint in the pipe, and we had to stop and make sure that she could get the guy sliding over the joint.
We told him that slowly by slowly.
And sometimes you should tell me that we must stop now and rest a bit. Hey, for me, it was like the whole day. I was in the dark for a long time.
Zanele was in the pipe with the seriously injured victim for almost 2 hours.
She was exhausted. She was just exhausted.
I'm comparing the space inside the pipe, the weight of Thomas Mashinini, the weight of Zanele Msidi. But no, it's impossible. Even if you can just look at that link, you will tell me that no, this thing we're talking about is like we're lying. But it happened.
I was happy because I knew that I have saved some life, just like the fireman's prayer says.
I never realized that a woman can do that job. Zanele is a hero. She is a hero.
A place of safety, the name given for Polokwane in the heart of the Limpopo province. On the 10th of August, a collision of tons of unstoppable steel seemed an impossible force to survive. In the hours that followed, emergency personnel would be faced with a once-in-a-lifetime challenge.
I came across one of the tow truck drivers who stopped me and said that I know about the train accident close by. Normally I would dispatch paramedics, being a manager. But I don't know, it felt like I needed to go.
Trusting his instincts, David Dennison headed for the railway line and called for backup.
At first, they just said the train accident. We didn't know exactly what was happening.
They were on the scene within minutes.
Well, when I got there, I found a car had been hit by a train.
You could see quite some damage to the vehicle. There was already, Mr. Dennison was on scene. You could see there was still one patient inside the vehicle, and then was one gentleman outside the vehicle.
I immediately went to go look into the car, and there I found a woman lying in the car. She had a big cut on her head.
David could not find a pulse.
And I said, "Tell me, is she pregnant?" And he said, "Yes, she's 8 months pregnant."
The possibility of the baby being alive was remote.
I went and I took the stethoscope and put it onto her belly to see if I could hear, the baby's heartbeat, because it's a possibility. Of course, I never heard a heartbeat. The baby kicked the stethoscope. That baby didn't say, "Listen to my heartbeat." It said, "Get me out of here. I'm inside here."
And it was like a minute, like, is it real? Are we sure what's happening? Because that doesn't happen. Everybody's so amazed. And
the baby had a tiny chance of survival. Time was of the essence.
My reaction snapped. That's why I thought, okay, you know what? Now it's time to work. It was just simple. Guys, we need to get to hospital as in yesterday.
Used the spine board, and we slide the mom on the spine board and took her out.
we immediately started CPR. I put intubation, a pipe to help the mother just for some breathing, to get some oxygen to the baby, because the focus was now the baby.
The core function was to keep blood circulating through the lifeless mother so that the baby could continue to breathe.
We had minutes. It's not like the golden hour that you have in a normal patient, the golden hour that everybody knows about. In this case, we had minutes.
And then my priority shifted from the patient to the hospital, because I knew I needed to get there to start preparing everyone so when she did come in, we'd be able to immediately act on it.
Paramedics continued CPR in relays en route to the hospital.
We've got the escort of police and paramedics.
It was actually scary for me because I had to drive fast, consider the passengers in terms of the people treating the patient. I mean, mind you, they're resuscitating at the back. Just have to try to create your own space, just to shuffle and say, if I can feel comfortable on my knees, on my butt, anything, just to be stable so that when they apply the brakes or maybe they accelerate faster, we don't have to bump anything. The main concern was about the baby. And whenever I was driving, it was like, baby, 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 baby involved.
It was challenging, strenuous, stressful, but at the end of the day, lives have to be saved in that ambulance.
8 critical minutes had passed since the rescuers took action. At Polokwane Provincial Hospital, David was negotiating emergency plans.
When I got to the hospital, as per norm, it was chaotic when I started demanding everything there.
A visiting doctor on the scene took decisive action.
I said, no, give me anything. We don't need the sterility of theater. You just give me anything.
The emergency room was turned into an instant operating theatre.
They realized time was of importance.
They shifted the lady in the resuscitation room and they give me a knife and I cut in less than 30 seconds, the baby was out.
That was the quickest cesarean section I ever saw in my life.
The baby was blue and appeared lifeless.
For a moment, the baby came out like he was gone already.
When I was looking at Eugene like, we've gone through all of this now and the baby's not breathing.
They were determined to keep trying.
Eugene intubated, I started CPR on the baby.
And we knew we're not going to give up on this baby. This baby must survive today.
Long seconds passed when suddenly the tiny baby took a chance for life.
And the next thing we knew, the baby started breathing. We got a pulse back. The baby was pink.
And it was like, wow. The baby now it's alive.
So everybody jumped. Everybody was very excited and happy. For me, I was very much excited to find the people who are so committed to do their work.
The miracle baby was flown to a pediatric ICU 30 kilometers away, where she fully recovered.
This baby is alive and healthy, and she has hands that can surround and warm and care for her. So it was actually a blessing to me as a newly qualified medic in the field.
If that little one is called miracle or blessing, it would be so fitting. The small town of Howick in the KZN Midlands is known as the place of many waterfalls. The most dramatic of these are the Howick Falls.
The falls, it's too high.
The Howick Falls drop more than 100 meters.
Yeah, and then the water there, it's very, very heavy.
Ronnie Ndlovu is proud to be watch commander at the Howick Fire Station.
It's a passion. You must like what you're doing. That's what makes me a fireman. Yeah.
It's a lifelong dream that he's held since he was a small boy growing up on the banks of the Umgeni River.
At home where there's little TV, the small ones.
It's where we're able to see there is something that they call firefighting. There is something they called fire engine.
And then said, no, one day I'll be like those people. I'll be a firefighter.
On June the 3rd last year, his passion for the job was severely tested. His station received a call from sightseers at the falls.
It looked like somebody got stuck on the fall.
A woman stuck on the edge of a precipice, a death drop just meters away.
We just said, what do we do now?
Colonel Richard Nyede was first on the scene.
From the station to activate the rescue unit.
Me and Smith, we're filling up the water in the fire engine. And then it's where I received the call that I must come to Howick Falls. Because there's someone in the falls. Someone in the falls, what is doing in the falls?
Ronnie and firefighter Londi Smith rushed to the falls.
But in the time when everything was happening, you know, it was like, what do we do now?
When I get there, what I notice, plenty cars and plenty people. I didn't know what's going on there. Where's the victim? I said, no, come. And then he showed me.
Ronnie saw the woman, hanging impossibly close to the edge.
Because she was on the tip. She was just right here. And the water there, it's very, very heavy.
Snagged on a small rock, she hovered between life and death.
And that second that goes by, the lady was going to be gone. That was ringing in our minds, and that we say, what do we do now?
They called on search and rescue from Durban for assistance.
Yes, I was busy with another scene in the Durban area. We responded from there towards Howick.
The trip from Durban to Howick would take in excess of 2 hours.
You think on these 2 hours, she was still holding there? Nobody who's got the answer, yes or no.
Ronnie took stock of the odds.
That's where Ronnie said, no, I'm going.
Nalelo solelo ukuthi ayisingamsiza then wase washo ukuthi angihambe nge-truck ngithathe rope.
Ronnie made a decision to attempt a rescue. It was either that or the woman would tumble to her death.
If we do not get her out, obviously we were going to feel bad because we had a time to do something. And that's what was ringing in our minds.
And then I tie myself first.
Ronnie instructed the crew to anchor the rope to a tree.
I took all my shoes, everything, except my clothes. There was no time to hesitate or to come with a plan.
Acting on instinct, Ronnie stepped into the freezing water.
I went with the mentality, I'm going to grab her and then I'll come with her. I never had that mentality, no.
As he moved closer, he felt the pull of the falls.
The water is going towards her because she was on the tip of the falls, so the water there is making noise.
Ronnie, he's risking with his life.
The rope around his waist stood between life and death.
I did trust the rope. That rope is very strong. The water was flowing strong because I couldn't walk. I just sat down and then the water took me.
Ronnie's crew held their breath as he inched dangerously close to the edge.
What if he also goes down?
But I make sure my feet are on the front just to feel the rocks until I get there.
There was much of danger. We all like saying, Ronnie, make sure if you feel that you might go down and shout.
No way to go back, no way.
Ronnie could see the woman was losing her grip.
But we could see him making it. Because we didn't want to lose him, because that was possible. And then when Ronnie was like close to the lady, and that's where Smith shouted that we need to be radiant.
Ronnie was sitting at the tip of a 100-meter waterfall.
I was there where she was.
One slip and it would be the end.
It's very dangerous. Very dangerous. When I get to her, I tie her with the rope. I tried to speak to her. She couldn't speak.
When he grabbed her, then you could see that she was responding. That made everybody feel like, no, what, we were winning here.
And then I tell Smith, tell these people to pull.
And we were all like come Sisi, come Sisi, come Sisi. I think that also gave her strength.
And then I pull her until we get to the safe place. And then when I get there, I took a breath, deep breath.
Rescue workers from Durban arrived to find them safe on the banks.
She had been rescued and she was placed on a stretcher on our arrival. Having inexperienced people basically holding onto a rope that tied around his waist made it a very brave rescue in my eyes.
I feel so excited. I say, oh, I saved her. She's safe now. Okay, everybody's safe. Even myself, I'm safe. so it means that everything is okay.
He helped the girl out from the danger. I said, that's my brother. That thing is like him. That is him. That is him.
Firefighters do much more than take cats out of trees. Ronnie Ndlovu quite literally put his own life on the line to save someone else's. The Mariepskop Mountains near Hoedspruit are as beautiful as they are dangerous. The weather can change in a heartbeat, and the terrain makes every step treacherous. On November the 19th, a Polish entomologist was with a research group in the Mariepskop. They headed off late afternoon in search of rare beetles. The weather turned abruptly. Within minutes, visibility was almost zero, and Pavel was separated from the group. With darkness falling, they called the local police. Pavel was forced to spend the night in the forest.
We were the first team to arrive then. After that, then we had to call for the reinforcement.
Reinforcements arrived in the form of the emergency services, police, mountain club, and off-road rescue.
This was a massive operation. At some point we had 70 people because most of them were volunteers. We end up dividing them into 5 teams.
Teams were grouped and briefed about the territory.
Teams were working on a very difficult and very dangerous terrain.
They were organized into a 24-hour roster system, and the search began.
I won't leave the place before I find Pablo. Alive or dead, I'm going to find him.
Alone in leopard country, things went from bad to worse for Pavel.
Wake up in the morning, go into the mountains and search.
It had been 48 hours since Pavel was last seen.
It's only 48 hours that the chances are you will find the person alive.
After 3 days, there was still no sign of Pavel. Then the weather turned against them.
In a split second, you find that it's foggy, the visibility is bad, it's moist, it's hard to breathe.
The weather was not good. It was raining very hard.
So the conditions were just tough. It was just tough.
The search moved into its 4th day.
And after 72 hours, the chances are the animals might have eaten the person. We were just working against all the statistics.
I put myself in his shoes. I asked myself, where's Pablo?
Pablo! Remarkably, Pavel was still alive. Against the odds, the rescue teams searched on. Searched areas were carefully logged. They were running out of options. One remote valley remained, steep, isolated, and dangerous.
They said, I need one team that can volunteer to go down there because it's the only place that we didn't search. But I raised my hand. I always imagine, what if that person is me?
Sergeant Mabetlela handpicked his team.
If I can have this and this and this and these guys, I know everything will be fine.
A team of medics and local men with knowledge of the forests made one last attempt into the undergrowth.
We had to chop all those trees just to find a way forward.
The thick forest seemed an unlikely path to Pavel.
I didn't think that a person can fall there and actually survive. It's a long drop.
At the bottom of the valley, near a small stream, Pavel was hanging on to life.
So when you search, you are looking for any clue.
They were looking for any small sign of human disturbance.
It's a pot for the knife. Then we pick it up, we lock the GPS, then we continue.
Buoyed by hopeful signs, they slowly moved towards the stream.
And then we found a pouch.
A weathered bag on the rocks near the stream. Bag and knife were positively identified.
Now we were rejuvenated.
They resolved to go back.
Tomorrow, guys, we are going to find Pablo. We're just near, just that rock that blocked us. Then tomorrow, we are going to find him.
Everyone was believed that the guy is still alive.
Day 6, the team set out, determined to bring him back.
We're calling his name. We're using the whistle. Pablo, Pablo.
We believe, actually, that we could do it.
We are actually approaching the same big rock that we abandoned our search yesterday. When we start hearing somebody responding to our call.
A faint response, almost too quiet to be sure.
We thought, no, it was an echo. And we call it and it comes back again.
And we start going to the direction where the sound is. I can't explain that moment. I mean, it's like, wow, the man is there.
They ran towards him, actually. It was like, we were like cheerleading.
He was so happy. I never saw a happy man like that.
With darkness falling, they set up camp for the night and radioed the happy news to the jock.
When we got that message, we felt like we could just run into the bush and get them out.
Pavel spent one last night in the valley in the company of his rescuers before making the arduous journey back to the base at first light.
We start hiking at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Now we go up the mountain.
Pavel was desperately weak.
Let's walk, little bit rest.
They radioed for a helicopter to pick him up on the ridge.
Really, it was just a marvelous feeling, honestly speaking.
Pavel was finally on his way to safety.
I got the goosebumps when I'm thinking of that particular day, really.
If this team inspires you to live life at 100%, vote for them now. Firefighters in KwaZulu-Natal are used to working in terrain like this. But a forest fire is always a very dangerous beast. And if things go wrong, the terrain itself can turn into your worst enemy.
It was pretty much an average grass fire. A lot of smoke, dark.
Mervyn Fitzgerald and Vincent Nele planned an approach to fighting the fire.
There was a tree line that the fire was spreading into. So he was actually following the line of fire, beating it out. And I carried on with what I was doing. I looked back to where he was and I couldn't see him anymore. I started shouting for him. I didn't get any response. So I shouted again. It was when I realized something was not right.
Then, a faint call from the bottom of the ravine.
I could hear it was extremely distressed, like fear. Yeah, I immediately notified our communication center that we got a firefighter down. We started proceeding, calling at the same time to try and get a location where he was.
The team could find no safe way to reach their stricken colleague.
It was definitely specialized equipment that was needed to be able to gain access from the height that he fell.
Rescue tech were called in to assist the firemen.
One-time patient, male, approximately 34 years old.
He was alive and vocal, which is fantastic. Vocal is always good.
They immediately set up a joint operations center.
All the heads of the emergency services would come together and decide on a plan of action.
Cool. So we knew that we were going to need harnesses, we knew that we were going to need abseiling equipment. I needed my advanced medical equipment to take down.
Rescue tech knew this would be a high-risk operation. Gear was checked and cross-checked. Firefighters led their colleagues headlong into the burning bush.
It was difficult to maneuver through the terrain. And you've got smoke, and you've got fire around you, and you're completely disorientated.
It was so hot that the fume from the burning timber was running up my pants, and I was like, you could feel the waves of heat running up you. It was incredible.
Rescue tech depended on the firefighters to lead them safely towards the ravine.
So you actually had multiple flame fronts, and we actually had to get rescue tech down through the steps slope between these flame fronts to actually get to the rescue sites at the bottom.
The firemen that were around us were very experienced. They had made a way for us.
On first sighting of the injured man, they knew this was out of the ordinary.
Scary, high. I did not believe that he was still alive.
It was a breathtaking height. The mere fact that a human being had survived this fall was short of a miracle.
The height alone should have killed him.
The only way out was to actually get him out with an aircraft. It would have been the best case scenario.
With the aircraft on its way, Rescue Tech turned to the challenge of getting to Vincent.
We did a quick assessment where they're going to jump from.
Looking for the easiest possible access point.
They were looking for a sharp, unimpeded drop.
And a lot of large trees where we can tie ropes as anchors.
They quickly set up a dual line system.
Everything happens on the main line, your abseil, your equipment descend, and your safety line is a pure backup if anything goes wrong.
The team were challenged with far more than a dangerous abseil on the burning mountaintop.
It was the rescue. We had to keep the fire back from the work area, and we still had the fire raging up the gorge, threatening properties behind us.
Everything they have there is flammable. Their ropes are flammable. Their slings are flammable. The anchors that they're anchoring to, in the form of the trees and whatnot, are flammable.
The odds were building against them.
We had to make sure there was no ashes or hot surfaces. We had to fuel the trees. In some places, we actually wrapped blankets around the trees.
Time to execute a safe rescue was running short.
When you know it's one of your fellow colleagues, knowing that you have to get to him as soon as possible, but knowing that you have to do it as slowly and safely as possible, it's two things you got to weigh up.
Your ropes get thrown over the cliff face, and then you attach yourself your rope with a descending device. You look up, you look at whoever's checking you over into the big black hole.
Nicholas Holmes was first over the cliff edge.
I took the stretcher and all the medical equipment attached to me at the same time, so I had a high load on the line.
The high load, the fast approaching fire, and poor visibility escalated the dangers.
So I couldn't really see what the bottom was like until I landed on the bottom.
Nicholas landed safely on the ground. The other paramedics began their tricky descent.
We've got ropes working now where you've got people dangling off the end, so you've got to keep the fire back from that.
I had never ever pictured or even imagined myself or my team being in this sort of danger or challenge ever, not in my entire life.
You've got to be focused 100%.
With crew and equipment safely on the ground, advanced life support paramedic Paul Knussen made his way over to Vincent.
The relief on his face to see that we had arrived, I think we both expressed feelings.
My name's Paul and I'm the paramedic from Yacht 24.
So it was actually quite a special feeling at the end of the day.
Details of Vincent's injuries were relayed to the top.
On assessment of him, I found that he had broken his femur, which is a very, very large bone in your leg.
While waiting for the helicopter to arrive, paramedics stabilized Vincent.
When they told us the helicopter was going to take a good few hours to get to us, we thought, well, his injuries at the time weren't life-threatening. We set up the necessary equipment, we put him on some oxygen, we settled him down a little bit. I managed to establish an IV line, we gave him a little bit of analgesia to settle his pain, and we managed to splint his leg as comfortably as we could.
He was very calm throughout the whole incident.
All they could do now was wait for the airlift.
They actually had to fly into the gorge itself.
There was a lot of really tall trees. It was on the side of a cliff.
It was going to take extraordinary skill to position the helicopter safely.
Standing on the edge of the cliff, looking at the helicopter, we were basically eye level with the pilots.
This was precision flying at its most dangerous.
Try to get as low as possible to the firemen, simply to make the hoisting time quicker.
The rotors were just skimming the tree level.
With the downdraft from our blades, we were fanning the fire. So it was important to get in and out as quickly as possible.
So we thought, well, if we do it, we only have one try to do this.
One try, or the flames would run amok.
But I did notice in front of us what had been a small fire when we got there started becoming a bit of a raging inferno.
The fire was huge and then it started to roar again. It was frightening, yeah.
With no time to reconsider, the hoist was lowered.
I'm still always apprehensive when it comes to hoisting. It's a dangerous operation. It has its own dangers and risks, and everyone's aware of that.
On this particular day, the dangers and risks were multiplied tenfold.
We had raging fires, we had a 40-meter cliff, we had a hoist operation that was carrying on.
Despite the almost impossible conditions, Vincent was safely lifted out of the ravine.
A hell of a lot of relief to see him getting hoisted up into the chopper. After the incident, it's just sheer exhaustion, because then everything really hits home and, you know, you're like, wow, we actually dodged the bullet here.
It was just a huge relief when everything was over and just how well all the different services had come together.
It was a sense of happiness. Happiness that we'd actually got him out, alive.
Knowing that no matter if you're a fireman, a policeman, a paramedic, at the end of the day, it was just good teamwork.
Such skill and such bravery.